Hello everyone and welcome back to a best of 5 series of professional StarCraft 2. Today it's time for a Zerg versus Terran, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on 2,000 atmospheres. Now spawning here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, playing with the red Zerg drones from South Korea, we have none other than Armani. His opponent in the opposite corner with the blue Terran SCVs, likewise also from South Korea, we are looking at GuMiho's main command center. Now, it's been a little bit since we've had a look at either of these two players. Of course, both of them are very good. Maybe not necessarily tournament winners, but generally speaking, they seem to be... I don't mean this with any disrespect, okay? But they seem to be like a round of 8, a round of 16 type of player. So they're still like... Oh, what's going on? Sorry, I'm very nosy. Alright, nothing too exciting. They're both still ridiculously good, but they haven't really won any major tournaments at the very least recently. GuMiho, of course, came back from the military some time ago. If I'm not mistaken, actually, let me have a quick little look. Armani? Just Googling Armani doesn't do the trick. I gotta add Wikipedia. Yeah, Armani has already done his mandatory military service, and he's actually only 25 years old, so he did it at what I believe is like a more conventional time to do your mandatory service. He already did it a couple of years ago, and yeah, he's definitely a very strong Zerg player, so I figured let us have a look at what they're both up to recently. I heard that this particular game right here on 2K Atmos in particular is really good, but obviously we're gonna have a look at the entire best of 5. Now, as you probably know, over the last couple of, well, really like the last couple of weeks, we've once again seen Terran Mech be quite popular in this matchup. And GuMiho, he was playing Terran Mech before it was cool, okay? Like, he's been playing Terran Mech basically since it was a possibility. I guess ever since Blizzard, like, added the Cyclone. Doesn't mean that he's not capable of playing Bio, because he definitely does play a, you know, biological-based army composition as well. But recently, we've seen Maru play some Terran Mech once again, and ever since then, it seems like all of the top Terran players are once again inspired to pull it off, and I figured if anyone is going to be playing a creative mech style, it's probably GuMiho. At least that's what I'm secretly hoping for. Armani, by the way, this is what happens when a map is around for such a long time, is going for one of the strangest Overlord scouting patterns I've ever seen. So I guess he was checking for proxy racks pretty much everywhere, and eventually, I think this Overlord will probably be flying straight through the main base at around the 4-minute mark to scout for any sort of shenanigans. It's one of those paths that Zerg players start taking when a map is around for a super long time, and obviously 2K Atmos, we've seen thousands of games at the pro level on this particular map. It's been around for some time. Another small development rather, in this matchup is these random little marine walks. Theoretically speaking, not a very good idea at all, because if Zerg just had literally any units out, yeah, they could actually just get picked off for free. But obviously Zerg players tend to be quite greedy, so despite the fact that this is definitely on the Zerg side of the map, what's gonna chase you down right now? Just a couple of queens? Is Zerg really gonna make like 8 Zerglings right now to try and deal with this? Probably not. They're probably gonna try and just replace the Overlord that they've lost and then continue droning to try and make up for the difference. So I kind of like it. If you can get 2 Overlords, which can happen all of the time, yeah, it's fantastic. Anyways, I think you guys need to go on home. Jimmy, no! Don't do it, man! No, I guess they'll just try and get as much value as they can. Eventually, these Marines will go down. I don't think they're going to be able to make it home, especially since I did see 4 more Zerglings on the tab. Yeah. So they're going to be chased down, but usually, okay, this does mean that it's going to be some sort of... Oh, okay, he does see it. There's a fusion core right now as a follow-up. It's going to be some sort of aggressive follow-up, right? So usually when you see a couple of Marines just sort of sacrificed in the earlier stages of the game, it means that, say Terran wanted to go for like a Marine-based push, they would obviously end up with less Marines, right? So usually it means that we're going to see some sort of mechanical approach instead. Doesn't mean that it's going to be full-on Terran mech. As a matter of fact, GuMiho is still pumping out those units 2 at a time. He's got 1 medevac. This is already a strange build order. Now, luckily for Armani, he did go for that strange Overlord path. If you tried to fly in an Overlord from the natural, it would have never scouted the fusion core. So nicely done right there by him. It's going to be a battlecruiser opener here from GuMiho, but definitely not in the conventional way. So back when battlecruiser openers were very popular, like a year or 2 ago, Terran players used to just rush them out as quickly as they could. Recently, we've seen Maru once again, like I said, mixing these sort of openers as well. Whenever he goes for like a battlecruiser start, he will usually go for a Viking first. Apparently, GuMiho instead is going to go for a medevac, and then a bunch of Marines, which is kind of awkward. If I were Armani right now, I would get a little bit suspicious, because it definitely doesn't have to be Terran mech. But this movement is all a little bit funny, right? It's almost like a story that GuMiho is really desperate to, like, tell his opponent here. He's like, I'm making a lot of Marines, and therefore I'm playing yeah, look, there it is. Okay, therefore I'm playing bio, but it is going to be additional factories right now as a follow-up. I love this. It's one of those small little mind games that Terrans like to play. Has this medevac really paid for itself? Not quite, but we did see like 2 Overlords going down, a couple of Marines as well. Killed those Zerglings, of course, so it's definitely not the end of the world. Anyways, Battlecruiser at this point is done. Immediately using that long cooldown of his to go across the map. There is a Spore Crawler. There's also a Spire coming up. No target firing with the Battlecruiser. And obviously, normally we have like Hellions ready to poke in at the 3rd base as well, but I don't think there's enough Hellions for that. There's 4 Hellions in total. That's doable. Anyways, yeah, I think if GuMiho would have target fired down with the Battlecruiser, he could have probably gotten like 4, maybe 5 drones. But obviously, targeting with a unit that fires so quickly, while also on the move, it's a little bit tricky. Alright. Armani still doesn't know, by the way. He sees Hellions right now, so that might give him an indication that it is gonna be Terran mech. But you can see that, like, recently a lot of Terran players have been playing these, like, suboptimal builds just to, like, make it hard for the opponent to realize exactly what's going on. Judging by the fact, though, that Armani is already going for the Roach upgrades here, as well as the +1 missile, I think he realizes that he is going up against something funky. Without Roach speed, though, it's going to take a little while for those Roaches to waddle on over towards the 3rd base. So a couple of drones here will end up going down. It's, by the way, just a single Battlecruiser. So it's got a decent amount of kills, but this is really just to buy time, right? All of this, what the Terran player is doing is just buying a bunch of time. That's one of the problems when you play Terran mech. I was kind of hoping that this would happen. Oh my god, a double supply depot drop? Really? That's a big supply block. Anyways, he's just trying to buy time to get upgrades out and to make sure you don't die to anything silly. So one of the things you can do right here as a Zerg player is make a round of Corruptors and just attack when Roach speed finishes. So Roach speed at this point is done. Okay, he's got 11 Corruptors coming up. Actually, there are 2 Battlecruisers. Wait, were there 2 all along? No, I think one of them... Okay, I wasn't paying attention there to the production tab for a little bit. I think one of them probably came up as a follow-up. Yamato cannons are also done right now, and he's gonna go for the 3rd BC here too. So, double armory upgrades together with... Yeah, triple Battlecruiser? Interesting. Okay. So what I was gonna say, Zerg can definitely go for a push if they want to. +1 missile is finishing up right now, which is also a good opportunity to fight. So Armani could go for like just yeah, he's going for a lot of Roaches here and a bunch of Corruptors. That's gonna be a pretty strong army and a difficult one to hold. Now look at this little wall off right here that GuMiho is creating. I think that's gonna be super critical because those siege tanks are gonna be very important in holding whatever is coming up next. Even maybe a couple of Queens are moving to the front, which is really cool. I mean, with a few transfuses, yeah. Definitely can deal some damage. Okay, let's see. Now, that is some very good siege tank positioning, though. There's still 5 siege tanks. I was a little bit concerned that we wouldn't have enough BCs. Anyways, ooh. Okay, loses 1 Battlecruiser right there. Not ideal whatsoever. But 5 siege tanks here, I think, should be enough to hold, right? I feel like the Battlecruisers are probably going to be chased down, although, yeah, they're trying to seek a refuge right next to the missile turrets. Obviously, SCVs can repair these units as well, even when they are up in the air. There seem to be enough Corruptors right now, though, to outdamage it. And, yeah, it looks like even though the Marines are desperately trying to help out as well, 3 Battlecruisers will still end up going down, with maybe even a 4th one getting picked off very soon as well. Armani was thinking about going for an all-out assault there and maybe try and just push for the victory, but upon seeing the amount of siege tanks there, he decided to think better of it. We made like a big round of drones here. All right. Is this worth it? I don't think so. No. Those unupgraded Marines take forever killing a unit that is that well armored, but not the end of the world. All right. 4th Command Center has landed at the 12 o'clock position. Yeah, we're just going full Terran mech. It's kind of cool, right? I mean, I like Terran mech when I see other people playing it. When I play against it, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan. Hello! Alright, we never want to see a battlecruiser going down to corrosive biles, by the way. I can talk more about my problems here in a little bit. Dude, he just killed a full battlecruiser with corrosive biles. Anyways, I think that this army was supposed to kill the Terran force here before the planetary fortress finished morphing in. And luckily right there for Gumi, he does manage to finish it up right now and immediately goes into the 5th command center as well. Corruptor still on the right side of the map. I think they want to use their caustic spray ability to continue dealing damage on the armories here, but there's a nice little turret line over here, making sure that will not happen. Armani is just, putting his foot down on the gas, though. I kind of like this. Obviously, one of the downsides of Terran mech is that it's, quite immobile, especially the siege tanks. They can really only be in one location at once. That being said, with good positioning, you can definitely push an army like this back, but that was a lot of SCVs going down there. 16 SCVs, definitely not bad whatsoever. And on the back of this, it is going to be a hive transition right now from Armani as well. He's got himself a good amount of economy. Probably will be going into the Vipers soon enough to try and just abduct whatever you can. I think Vipers are going to be pretty good here. Anyways, I tweeted about this as well, and oh my god, he goes for 13 swarm hosts? Really? Okay. Dude, he's just going from one army comp to the next. I kind of like it. Anyways, playing to the strength of the Zerg, I suppose. Anyway, I tweeted about this as well, because recently I've been playing a relatively large amount of Terran players who do not intend to win before, like, the 45-minute mark. It quite literally feels like I'm playing a campaign mission. Those are the kinds of Terran mech players I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of, who literally just sit there doing nothing. They just, do nothing. You can take the whole map, you can mine out everything you like, but they will not be moving out until, like, well, 3-3 upgrades at the absolute earliest. So that's the kind of Terran mech I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of, but maybe that's the reason why Armani right here has gone for Swarm Hosts. Swarm Host, a very supply-dense army. So at this point, Armani's force really isn't that big. But I mean, you can pick off siege tanks, and obviously every single time a Locust wave like that is available and you can kill some units, it does add up over time. It makes it difficult for Gumi to go across the map. Okay, Gumi instead right now goes for a more mobile force. Still pumping out more Hellions. Getting the Smart Servos upgrade, Infernal Pre-Igniter as well. That's Blue Flame for those Hellbats. Or the Hellions, I suppose, as well. My main concern right here for Armani is that, yes, the Swarm Hosts are awesome, but, like, if the Terran army gets across the map, it's going to be very difficult to stop them using, just these, these Swarm Hosts, because you just have an army available, like, 30% of the time. That's exactly why Armani is once again going on the offense, trying to force this Terran army to turn around, and he does manage to pull that off. Another 2 siege tanks do end up going down. Corrosive Biles right here on an orbital command, just trying to pull this army apart. Because if this Terran army, like if this force were to be right here, Terran would just straight up win. But obviously you can't just march over there and not lose everything in the meantime at home. A lot of good Corrosive Biles so far in this match. Yeah, every time we see Cyclones going on, Hellions, Hellbats, a battle cruiser for some reason. Alright, so that's exactly why GuMiho right now is going for a Cyclone transition. Hellion Cyclone is very mobile. We used to call this Battle Mech back in the day. Anyways, this is going to be the first wave of Locusts right here on top of the Terran army. Okay, another siege tank. Another siege tank. It's really starting to add up. I'm liking what Armani is doing here a lot. Keep in mind that while this is happening, right, normally we see Swarm Host play. I mean, we don't really see Swarm Host play in general. Nice little bit of control. Ooh, get the last one! Not gonna happen. Normally we see Swarm Host play off of like 50 drones. So maybe 60, right? We don't really see that many workers usually with Swarm Host users. But Armani is picking up a bank on the back of this. So I think at some point he's probably gonna lose those Swarm Hosts or he's gonna give them away. And I'm curious to see what he's going to be transitioning into at that point. So he's going to go for the Pathogen Glance upgrade, which is an Infestor Energy boost. Neural Parasite, obviously, is definitely not a bad idea, especially if the opponent goes very Thor, very Battlecruiser heavy. Yeah, I guess the Swarm Hosts are like the ultimate anti-stalemate type of unit, right? Because every time the Locust launch, you just see units dying. Once again, Corrosive Biles right there, aimed at the Battlecruisers, but it's not going to happen. GuMiho right now, okay, getting a nice lock-on right there with the Cyclones, pushing very deep onto the creep. Wouldn't mind seeing a couple of scans go down over here just to make sure that he actually, you know, gets rid of some of that creep. Zerg does benefit from it quite a bit. Anyways, this is a carry push right now, though. Yeah, every once in a while we see that tempo lead that we usually see with Terran Bio, with Terran Mech as well, and this is an army that deals a ton of DPS. Roaches is running to their graves over here. 24 additional Roaches coming up. The Cyclones don't mess around. I'm just a little concerned that at some point there's going to be like a huge link flood over here and all of these units get surrounded. At the same time on the other side of the map, okay. Locust picking off whatever they can once again. Aggressive positioning, by the way, on these additional factories. So these units join the battle very quickly. Anyways, this command center still flying. I think GuMiho may have been a little too busy on the other side of the map. He really needs to land that. This is costing him a lot of income right now. Hello. Oh my god, I think he forgot. Yeah, he's so busy on the other side of the map, trying to avoid those Roaches and Ravagers that... There you go. Finally it lands, but that must be... Hello. That must be like 500, you know, minerals or so of potential mining time gone. Roaches now bile themselves, or Roaches and Ravagers, I guess, bile themselves. But this army here from Gumi is trading fantastically well. The problem is, right? I don't know if we have any Zergling upgrades. Yeah, we do. Adrenal Glance is done. Orbital Command. Maybe should have stayed flying. Anyways, just a huge influx of Zerglings here could wrap around this Terran army and decimate it, especially with that Ling improvement. Terran, in the meantime, though, hasn't stopped expanding, despite the fact that one orbital just went down, and I do feel like Armani is playing a little bit better here than Gumi. There's no denying that he still has a very solid amount of economy, right? So taking the entire top left-hand corner, I don't think that should have happened. Armani has seen the base over here, but he probably did not expect this expo to already be done. As a matter of fact, right now he's scouting the right side of the map. Battlecruiser here with 16 kills, running on over in this direction. As long as GuMiho can control the watchtower, I think he actually can mine the base in the top left relatively well. So every single time those Cyclones lock on, this is great for him. Nicely done right here by GuMiho, just trying to back off. Okay, Locust Wave heading on over in that direction. Probably really wants to kill a mineral line. Okay. I guess denying a mineral line for that long is not bad either. Battlecruiser on the other side of the map. Terran army up north. He's got to lock onto this base, kill it in a heartbeat. Yep, that's very nice. Battlecruiser over here doesn't deal that much damage, but it's gonna slowly but surely work on this hatch. And this is actually a very important expo right now here for Armani. Infestors coming up, by the way. Besides Neuroparasite, they can also go for fungal growths. Anyways, if this base were to go down, I think that Armani is gonna run out of money relatively soon, although he still has a bank of like 8,000 resources to go through first, though. Maybe it's not quite enough. Tunneling Claws is done, allowing the Roaches and the Ravagers, well, not the Ravagers actually, it allows the Roaches to move while underground, which is pretty nice. Okay. I was a little concerned that Armani was just gonna absolutely smash GuMiho here in game number 1. The last few minutes have looked quite a bit better for the Terran player. Not taking the gases over here, by the way, which is a bit surprising. I feel like you need them, but maybe the Swarm Host destroyed those earlier? Ooh, he sees the Infestors. So besides Neuroparasite, Fungal Growth here is obviously amazing. 3 HP right here, by the way, on that Medivac. Yeah, so Fungal Growth right there, obviously good. The strength of that Cyclone Force is that it can... well, move and shoot at the same time and then even back off while still dealing damage. Obviously, one fungal growth can be an absolute disaster, which is why apparently GuMiho is preemptively scanning. Going for a Raven! Look! All Terran mech players always tell me that Ravens are apparently impossible. Look, guys. GuMiho makes one. Genuinely, such a good unit. Obviously, besides the spells that it's got, it's also considered a detector. And you do need a detector in order to see those tunneling clawed roaches coming up. Okay. Swarmos once again dealing damage on the Natural Expo. Battlecruiser over here just shooting at whatever it can. Just trying to be as much of a nuisance as possible. Tunneling Clawed Roaches, though. Yeah, moving on over towards the natural. Not an ability we see all too often. Battlecruiser jumps towards the other side of the map right now, hoping to find a base without any spore crawlers, but that's not the case. Okay, Roaches over here. On top of that very vulnerable, very exposed production. Maybe not ideal after all. Is he gonna try and just kill the base? It's not gonna happen, my man. It's not gonna happen. That spore crawler's dealing too much damage. The queen could have been killed. Oh my god. The queen could have been... he could have had that. Could have had that 100%. Even if he, like, would have had to fly over there. Or, like, you know, just kill the queen first before moving onwards. That kind of puts GuMiho right now on a timer. Probably is gonna try and see if he can squeeze out the victory right here, right now. Armani has been ahead for the majority of this game. Still has a large bank. But this is a very strong Terran army. Okay. GuMiho decides to back off for now. I think taking this expo is definitely not a bad idea. Okay, did take the gases over there. Would love to see a drone or an SCV transfer up north. Fungal growth. Ooh. Are we not thinking about it? I feel like we should be thinking about it. One fungal in this game could be over. Armani right now adds on 5 queens, by the way. Saving up gas, I guess. A little bit concerned that you know... He's going for queens right now. Neural Parasite right there. Oh my god, on the Battlecruiser. Followed up with Corrosive Biles. Beautiful movement right there by the Zerg. Ensuring the kill on those units. Yeah, he still has the Swarmos over here just to wait. Fungal! Ooh. Infestors at this point have been picked off, though. Good targeting right there by Gumi. In the meantime, bottom right-hand corner. Okay, we have one very adventurous Cyclone trying to see if it... Oh my god, forgot! Dude, Gumi, what? He could have killed so much more with the units that he's got. Okay, eventually this base will definitely go down now with those Terran reinforcements coming on over in this direction. The main problem right now, though, is that there's also a huge army for the Zerg player in the top left. A couple of SCVs right there will take one of those Corrosive Biles to the face. Army in the bottom right, though, dealing a lot of damage too. Armani once again. Oh my god, he's going for a 28 plus Mutalisk transition. Using the burrow is what I was gonna say here to try and save as many of those drones as possible. At the same time, all the way in the top left, we do see one very expensive siege tank over here getting picked off, but not without dealing a lot of damage. So if Mutas can get on top of all of these units, and I think Gumi just scanned, so he saw them. If they can get on top of that army, that would obviously be a disaster. At this point, Armani has been pushed back. Sure, he's got 4,700 minerals in the bank, but that's really about it. So that's why he's adding on links right now, too. Cyclone's not necessarily bad against Mutas if you have enough numbers, but I think at this point, there might just be a little bit too much Zerg. Armani changing his unit composition like 4 times in this match. Very cool. All right, now if there is a map where you can go for Terran mech, it's this one. I mean, you seem to be able to play it on a bunch of different maps. I've seen it on Berlingrad, evidently on 2000 atmospheres as well. Hardwire. Yeah, since there's 7 maps in the current map pool, seems like at the very least 3 of them are doable when it comes to playing Terran mech. Anyways, let us see. GuMiho, generally speaking, likes to transition as well when playing Terran mech to like different kinds of armies within Terran mech, right? It's almost like a family of Terran strategies. So there's the Battle Mech army with the Hellion Cyclone, the full-on like Thor siege tank force that we didn't really see in that previous game. There's the one that Maru likes to play, where he mixes in like ghosts, but also ravens and a variety of other units too, where he seems to aim more at like a death ball type of army, like an army that can just sort of roll over everything. Armani going for a lot of transitions, trying his very best to outsmart the opponent, but didn't end up working that well in game number 1 at the very least. Armani though, playing a very good game. Playing the Zerg fantasy, right? Quick tech transitions, constantly switching, keeping the opponent guessing where you're located. That's pretty smart. Interesting Overlord position here for Armani. Are we not going to send this one out? So generally we see Overlord scouts flying into the Terran's main at like 3:45 to 4 minutes or so, which is right around the time where Terrans usually choose what kind of strategy they're going for. And it's still in time as well for the Zerg to be able to react against it. Okay, he is sending this one out right now. Where are we going? I'm looking for a little green dot. Was it on the screen and I just missed it? I have no idea. Anyways, is this Overlord just gonna fly straight through the main base? I wouldn't be surprised at all. Alright, what are we gonna do on here? So, 4 Zerglings coming up here for Armani. No scouting here whatsoever by GuMiho. Apparently feels comfortable. Just going for a single Marine straight into a reactor. Or actually, straight into a tech lab. Huh. Interesting. So what are we doing with that? Oh, we're gonna go straight into a starport. Is this a benchy opener? Like a very quick benchy opener? I'm not exactly sure. Okay, the Overlord. Maybe it was hiding, like with its attack path somewhere, you know, below one of those rocks. That Overlord would definitely like to see what's happening. So there is 1 Marine here, and as well as 1 Hellion. Armani, if you spoke up on that little ramp, my man, I feel like you should go up. Yeah, there you go. So he sees the timing right there of the starport with the tech lab, which is a huge indication that something is a little bit awkward. Okay, it's a Viking first? I always feel like scouting GuMiho is pointless, man. What are you gonna scout? What are you gonna do? You can make a Viking, just to clarify, without, you know, any add-on on the starport. You don't need a reactor, you don't need a tech lab. In order to make 1 Viking, you can just have the starport. So maybe it's because he got spotted and he's like, you know what, if my opponent now is gonna force... You know, if he's gonna be forced to make spore crawlers anyways to defend against the Banshee. Oh, okay, he decides to go for a Raven instead. I don't know if that was the original plan, but I quite like it. I'm expecting Armani to go for some spores, probably right around 420. Okay, he's scouting the main right now as well, and he just double checks, sees production over there. Viking, by the way, flying into the most likely pillar, where those Overlords tend to hide, but Armani apparently going for the meta direction so far with those OVs of his. Okay, he looked at his army, he sees, or what he scouted right now, he sees double tech lab. No green light just yet inside of this tech lab for the barracks one, though, so... Anyways, it is going to be a Baneling nest for now. Generally speaking, okay, I was going to say, you do see the Stimpec upgrade coming up right around right here. Just to make sure that you, well, actually have some longevity in this type of army. Kind of funny. GuMiho playing Terran Bio over here. Even though all of the top tier Terran players have been playing Mech on Hardwire in particular. He's keeping his opponent guessing, though. So, 6 Hellions here have been produced. 1 Zergling here is going to run to the front. Try to figure out if it's a 7th and an 8th Hellion as well. Okay. Careful, Banshee. Or, Banshee. What's it called? A Raven. Don't want to lose that one for free. 2 Queens going down. Not bad whatsoever. Yeah, the little auto turret actually does put in some work. Lair comes up right here for Armani. Okay. Once again, setting ourselves up for a nice little macro game here. Siege tank in the corner. The most beloved position. The highest ranking siege tank gets to sit right over there. Probably won't move for the rest of the game. Yeah, let's... GuMiho wants to be aggressive here. Dude, I love Raven openers. I think they're so good. Even if this wasn't necessarily the original plan for this game, I really do like them. If you can pull it off, it can deal so much damage. Jimmy. Almost getting killed right there by the siege tank. Fury doesn't care. Just sitting there, waiting. +1, +1. +1, +1. Both players getting their upgrades going. Generally speaking, we don't really see any big engagements until those upgrades are finishing up. And apparently in this particular game, it's going to be right around the time where both players have both of their upgrades done. Alright, yeah, so that usually means that Zerg can drone up. Armani going for the more forward 4th base. Definitely wants to spread some creep in that direction as well. Base on the left side of the map so far apparently neglected. Baneling speed, hello. We really need Baneling speed, Armani. Yeah, you can make 13 Banelings, but I think you need Baneling speed. Really? So now all of a sudden these pushes from the Terran player can become very dangerous. Like, just because GuMiho is known to not really play Terran bio as often as these other Terran players, it doesn't mean that he's not capable of microing his units. Yeah, now Baneling speed starts up. I think actually this was a blunder right here from Armani. Pretty sure he made a mistake. Without Baneling speed, how are you going to defend this? Love the Hellbats over here as well. Yeah, I think the 4th base is dead. Honestly, you can't engage this as Zerg until, yeah, army on the left side of the map as well, apparently. Well, the one Viking, the one-man army. You can't fight this. Hello, Armani. There's Hellbats, dude. Okay, he's got a try and collapse up in top. I don't like this. I don't like this for the Zerg player whatsoever. GuMiho right there, target firing with the siege tank in the middle of that Baneling pack. And even though usually we don't see pushes until those upgrades are done, there comes the Raven again. Getting some more damage in, killing a couple more queens. Yeah, this is now, well, the upgrades are done at this point, right? This is an opportunity that GuMiho saw and he decided to take it. The Viking's still working on it. That's the Viking from the Legacy of the Void. Oh no, wait, the Heart of the Swarm cinematic. It's gonna be fighting an Ultralisk soon enough. Okay, yeah, okay, Armani just doesn't feel it anymore. Decides to leave right away. Maybe a little bit early, but... Actually, no, he's got 34 workers at this point versus 73 SCVs. Mistakes were made. GuMiho saw an opportunity, took it, punished his opponent for it. Fair enough. Obviously, there's different levels of mistakes, right? Ooh, what are we doing? Really? Forgetting Baneling speed is like that's a gigantic error. It's the main reason why you go up towards a lair in the first place. Anyways, GuMiho apparently thought the Marines worked out pretty well in the previous game. Yeah, you could also go for some Reaper shenanigans. Second SCV going across too. Are we going to take any gases or are we just going to make Marines? So Berlingrad, another good mech map. Do you think Gumi is playing this on purpose, by the way? I don't really know if 2000 Atmospheres is even considered to be a good Terran mech map in the first place. But I know Berlingrad is at the very least decent, and I know Hardwire is good for it. I wonder if, like, GuMiho is just playing the meta game over here as well, where he's purposely playing, you know, bio builds on maps where... I don't think it's going to be spotted either, right? Yeah, Armani is flying the Overlords far away in this series, but... judging by the path of this one, it's not gonna spot it. At that point, it becomes a bit of a coin flip. Armani doesn't know what he's going up against. If he loses this OV as well, that would be a disaster. Okay, this one is going to be able to return to that pillar. But the problem is you don't know if it's a double Rex proxy or a triple Rex proxy. And both of them do require a slightly different approach. So we'll see what the crisis management right here from Armani is going to be like. He's going to see this very soon. Okay, now he sees it. This is all he needs to know. 3 Marines are being pumped out at once. Do you cancel the hatch? I don't think you do. Okay, he decides to pull the boys. Could make spine crawlers, could make lings, could make queens. Okay. He decided to pull out of gas and just try to hope for the best here. Okay, good micro so far on those drones. Getting the low HP ones in the back. Soon he's gonna see the timing at which those Marines are getting towards the Zerg's base. The problem is this bunker right here, if units are inside of it, it's definitely gonna be in range of the hatchery. So here we go once again. Zerg is trying to kill those Marines before they can really get a lot of damage done. Armani does manage to get on top of them. Okay, you do need to kill a decent amount of workers to justify going for this for this proxy Rex, right? So I think 7, 8, yeah, that's already becoming quite good. Despite the fact that the natural is going to be defended for now, we're already talking 12 drones down the drain here. And at this point, it's 17 SCVs for Terran versus 8 Zerg drones. GuMiho can just keep on pumping out more Marines. Obviously, Zerg also did pull out of gas to try and, yeah, protect this. So he doesn't have link speed or anything coming up either. Meaning that I think we're just gonna see GuMiho make more and more units here and then win the game. Probably. If he wants to be super safe, he could even make a command center at home and just, you know, transition away from this. Go for a factory. Just try to play the macro game from here, but... Alright, yeah, Armani realizes that this game could go on for another 20 minutes with him just losing the entire time. And after that very impressive game number 1, here we go, match point for GuMiho. Winning 2 cheeky games. 1 upgrade forgotten. 1 proxy barracks. Now we're on Curious Minds. Definitely not a mech map. The third base is far too wide open here. No high ground either to really hide behind. And while you could theoretically create wall-offs over here, I mean, it's not really gonna happen. Are we gonna change anything, Armani? You still feeling good? Alright. Going hatchery first once again. Recently, we've seen a lot of the top-level Zerg players transition towards a pool first, where they build 6 Zerglings blindly, pretty much no matter what. Especially since GuMiho hasn't gone for... Has he gone for a Reaper Scout in any of the games? Yeah, I think it's not a bad opener. You can get some work done on the other side of the map. Definitely some vulnerabilities, obviously. And, well, if your opponent would go for some sort of proxy, obviously having those extra Zerglings out definitely does make things a little bit easier. But then again, pool first does put you a little bit behind against this standard opener, and that seems to be what Gumi is going for right here. Will he go for an SCV scout? Judging by the timing right there of that gas geyser, he's not going to have enough right here to start up one of those Reapers right away. So instead, he's just going to once again just go for the good old Marine. Armani scouting around everywhere on the right side of the map. Trying to see if he can find any of those barracks. Obviously, there's lots of locations where they could be hiding, but... Alright. This is also a map where you can definitely go for some timing attacks if you want to as Zerg. So, Curious Minds does have the quickest rush distance from natural to natural in the current map pool. Especially if you knock down the rocks in the middle of the map. Say you want to go for like a, I don't know, a queen push or something. You knock down the rocks in the middle of the map. Units can go from like your third base very easily towards what is usually the Terran's third base. Although obviously there's other expansion patterns you can take as well. But Armani is going to opt for the third base around this site. Cool. Did go for 6 Zerglings blindly this time around. He knows the timing at which the Reaper should arrive. Hasn't seen it. Decides to send the links across. And here we have GuMiho going for the triple Rex. Well, I've complained about this build in the past. I don't like it. But maybe Gumi is gonna make me think otherwise. I think this is one of the worst Terran builds. Although I guess it'll work against... It'll work just fine against a random Zergling push. Yeah. Yeah, no, that was really not that good. Armani seems a little triggered. Leaving the games quite quickly, quite abruptly. They're going for a YOLO Zergling push. I mean, what was he expecting there? 4 Zerglings going down for free. Maybe losing his cool just a little bit. Like, either you're gonna run into 2 Hellions, or you're gonna run into, like, you know, there's not really a whole lot you're gonna run into there. That's gonna be favorable for the Zerg. Anyways, the triple Rex start. In case you haven't seen a whole lot of StarCraft 2 recently, this has been popular over the last 2-3 months or so. Where basically you just make 3 barracks, you go Stimpak, you go Combat Shield, and you just pump out a bunch of Marines. No factory, no starport until later on. You just kind of sit there, make a lot of bio units, and then go across the map. This was originally a Terran versus Protoss build, and you would also add on Marauders rather than Marines, but yeah, it seems to be quite potent. I mean, Terran players keep playing it, so there must be a reason why they like it, but I personally am not the biggest fan. Armani going for the good old trusted OV scout. Needs to figure out if he has to be concerned about any sort of Liberator play, Banshee play, Battlecruiser opener, that sort of thing. But as soon as he saw the factory, I honestly wouldn't have minded if he just decided to make a beeline back home. Instead, he decides to YOLO it in. Anyways. Here go the Marines. Now, this is a good chunk of Marines, obviously. You're gonna need, like, probably at least 30 Zerglings against this. But every single time you stim here, if you're GuMiho, you lose a bunch of your Marines' HP, right? And there's no medevacs or anything along those lines out that will help you out. Okay, there's 5 Banelings. That was a perfect scout, Armani. You saw everything, my man. Ooh, okay, well, I think it is going to be a one-way trip for those Marines. Yeah. But 8 drones going down as well on top of that. It's not just a hatchery. If it would have been a hatchery for 20 Marines and maybe a couple of Zerglings, I would have been okay. Maybe that's okay. But, like, 8 drones on the back of this, too? Not entirely sure. So what are we going to do now? Terran's third base, by the way, incredibly late with an opener like this. Could just go for a Baneling bust if you really want to, but I'm not sure. It's tempting. I know it's tempting, but I don't think you want to, Armani. Siege tank is just about to be out. I mean, it is an option. If you blow up, like, both of these at once, Terran might actually hit a supply block, and therefore you can just flood into base with Zerglings. Okay, he decided better of it. 1-1 is going to come up here for Armani soon enough, but obviously he's now in a really awkward position where he's long distance mining the third base. Well, now all of a sudden this opener from Gumi is going to make a lot of... Yeah, it's going to make a lot of opportunity here for him. Or it's going to create, rather, a lot of opportunity for him in this game. He can do whatever he likes. Apparently it's going to be that tempo play. Killed like, what, 6 creep tumors right there with 1 scan? Queens getting targeted. Oh! Pops a couple of the Banelings there as well, just for good measure. Still though, 8 Marines and a medevac ended up going down there. Eventually the third base of the Zerg player is once again done. And the same can be said right here for the Terran's command center, so that one's gonna land right over here. Yeah, so they are gonna become next door neighbors, especially if the rocks get knocked down over there. It's not a very long distance at all. Even after all these years, I still love the StarCraft music. It's so good. Nice pickup right there. Alright, so GuMiho gets to play a bio game with an advantage. Is Armani gonna try and capitalize on any of these upgrades? Like, he could go for a push right when all of this is done. Not a bad idea. Does have a 4th hatchery on the back of this too. But I wouldn't mind it if he just makes like tons of Zerglings here. Maybe not go additional queens. I'm not sure about the queens, but just make like a huge army and just try and go for the win. Especially since there's a good chance that GuMiho is going to do a follow-up push. And since all of these upgrades are finishing up right around the same time, might be able to get a little lucky. Especially when you snipe a siege tank like that. Okay, nicely done. Siege tanks not cheap units whatsoever. A lot of queen energy over here too, so those queens should be able to stay alive for quite some time. Drop inside of the main base. I think that's fine, right? For the Zerg player. Yeah, he decides to just jump on this army. That siege tank is certainly going to be dead. Lynx are going to have an awkward time, though, getting all the way back into the main base. Hello. Okay, yeah, now they're way too late. 9 drones have already gone down. Finally, the Banelings are rolling up the ramp. Terran is even thinking about taking down the lair itself, which turns out to be a little bit too overly ambitious. Queen's over here, hoping that those Terran medevacs would fly over them, but that's not gonna happen. Alright, 4th command center starts up. Drones start up for the 4th base as well. Yeah, you can see a small difference, right? Like, if you watch a lot of games, you can see that there's like a certain, like, crispness. I don't know what the correct term for it is. But there's like a certain type of like detail missing in some of these games where like small little moves add up over time. Like, for example, those Banelings kind of derping in a natural rather than running straight into the main base, and then like an additional 8 drones going down. And obviously we saw like a battlecruiser getting biled earlier on in this match as well. It's you know, a certain level of sloppiness that you wouldn't really see from like a Serral or, you know, a Maru or any of these types of players. Anyways, there's only like 4 players in the world that don't really seem to make mistakes like that, so take that for what it's worth. But yeah, when you watch a lot of top-level StarCraft 2, at some point you almost come to like expect that sort of level from everyone, even though it's extremely difficult to do so. Alright, huge Zergling counterattack. Very far forward sensor tower over there. Scouted it perfectly though for Gumi. Decides to still keep the majority of his army on the other side of the map. A little bit dangerous. But the 4th command center already flying on over towards the left side of the map. +2/+2 coming up here for the Terran player. +2/+2. A little bit ahead here for the Zerg. Armani's still playing catch up though. After losing that 3rd base earlier, you can see the supply count right now. It reflects it beautifully. That's the reason why Terrans go for those pushes. Even though they might not be able to win, it does put them at a very significant lead in the mid-game. Armani right now as well is sitting at 1,200 minerals, 600 gas. Probably had the queens over at the 3rd base for a little bit too long. And right now, yeah, Armani just happily trying to take care of those drops. But he really needs to get some sort of larva out in order to actually spend his resources. GuMiho has got a lot of gas, but that is sort of expected at this point for Terran. Okay, now that's definitely an early GG. Yeah, there's no denying that GuMiho is very far ahead at this point, but apparently despite the fact that Armani won a very cool game number 1, GuMiho won the next 3 maps.